I asked you guys for your unpopular Call of Duty opinions on my community feed, and you guys responded with 550 comments, and I tried to read them all, but I felt like I was going crazy with some of your takes. So I'm only going to be going over 15 of them and giving you my opinions on what you said. And at the end of the video, I'll give you my unpopular COD opinion. Let's get into the first hot take. Ellis Mark says Cold War is better than Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 1, but not BO2. Ellis, what are you talking about? I can admit that Cold War grew greatly on me as the game's lifecycle moved forward, and they made some good adjustments and added content. Cold War is easily the best Call of Duty in the last 5 years, but there is no chance it's better than Black Ops 3 from zombies alone. Ranking the 3 games 3 different modes, starting with campaigns, it's going to go BO1, Cold War, then Black Ops 3. For multiplayer, it's going to be Black Ops 1, Black Ops 3, then Cold War, and for zombies, it's going to be Black Ops 3 into Black Ops 1 with Cold War being in last. I think Black Ops Cold War is a good Call of Duty, but there's a reason this is an unpopular opinion for you, Ellis. Second, The World on Fire says the OG MW2 is super overrated. That statement right there is going to make a lot of old Call of Duty players mad. I think where this statement becomes blatantly wrong is with the word super, because if you don't think MW2 is a top 5 Call of Duty, you simply aren't looking at what it did for the series. It completely overhauled multiplayer to bring brand new things and made it arguably the most fun Call of Duty. Was it perfect? Definitely not. Everything being overpowered made it fun, but of course those Model 1887s were a bit too good, along with those danger close one-man army grenade launchers, which sadly never got nerfed because of Activision. And the campaign was incredible. So while I think people who say it's the best Call of Duty ever are overrating it, it's only by a little. Maybe because this world's on fire, it causes take to be too hot. And if you guys enjoy this type of video, please leave a like to let me know if I should make more of them. Number 3 has a JJ McCarthy fan saying World War II and MW3 are top 5 multiplayer experiences, and Black Ops 3 is a bottom 3 COD. There is a lot to unpack from this comment. Let's look at Modern Warfare 3 2023 first. Do I think it gets too much hate from the community? Yeah, I do. Do I also think it was a DLC of MW 2022? Yes. Basically, the game was made just to fix the atrocities of MW2 with movement, minimap, and so much more. And while it is better than the 2 Call of Duty multiplayers before it, it is nowhere near a top 5 MP experience. Now let's talk about BO3 being a bottom 3 COD. This might just be one of the worst things I've ever heard about COD. We need comments to show dislikes on YouTube, because I want to know how many downvotes ludicrous statements like this would get. Black Ops 3 has the best advanced movement multiplayer by a mile, and in my opinion, the best zombies mode ever. The only way this statement could be okay is if he was only talking about the campaign, but considering he said COD World War II had a top 5 multiplayer, I doubt it. Which I will get into with hot take number 4. But first, I'm doing a face reveal at 100k subs, so make sure to hit that button if you want to see me or just support me. Also, I quickly want to say I got this video idea when I saw Expert Fusion's video on unpopular COD zombies opinions. And he makes great Call of Duty content and deserves more subscribers. He's close to 17k, and maybe we can help get him there. And back into number 4, we have D-Jack saying a bunch of stuff, but I'm only going to be looking at the last point. COD World War II was a great COD, better than every game before Black Ops 2. What? Did I read that right? COD World War II was a great COD, better than every game before Black Ops 2. You know, whatever that last guy said doesn't seem that bad now. I picked your comment, D-Jack, because I always see you commenting on my videos and supporting me, and I really appreciate you. But what you just said about COD World War II being better than my favorite Call of Duty in Black Ops 1 is just unacceptable. And I think 99.9% of the community would agree. But not only did you say it's better than BO1, but COD 4, World at War, MW2, and MW3 as well is crazy. And I don't want to come off as a COD World War II hater, because I think by the end of its life cycle, it became a fun Call of Duty that was worth playing and messing around with for multiplayer, and it had an enjoyable campaign. All I can say, D-Jack, is you did a great job writing down an unpopular opinion. Let's move on. Fifth has Jesse saying Black Ops 6 will be the most important game for the franchise. This is an interesting take. It would have to compete with Call of Duty 1, the game that created the series, COD 4, the game that catapulted the franchise into the spotlight, and Warzone, which brought Call of Duty back during the pandemic. The last point by me may be related to my hot take at the end of the video. Firstly, Jesse is not wrong about Black Ops 6 being extremely important after the last 3 Call of Duties have disappointed the community. But even with the negatives being the main talking points about MW3, the player counts have shown an improvement over MW 2022, which shows people still care and want to play Call of Duty. But regardless of that, the last 3 years have been the worst in COD's history from a public reception. If Black Ops 6 fails, the series will still be in dire trouble. So while I don't think it will be the most important game in the franchise, I do think it will be one of the most important. So I think your take isn't bad. Number 6 is Trevor saying Warzone should be a separate game from any other Call of Duty games. It can be set in the same universe, but instead of using multiplayer guns from only the current Call of Duties, it should have its own arsenal of weapons and things to add, similar to how COD Mobile is. Having it separated would allow the multiplayer community to feel united again. I 100% agree with Trevor. One of the biggest issues with multiplayer is that people are only using it to level up guns for Warzone, or be sweaty tryhards who only use the meta guns. But the biggest problem with it is actually the developers focusing more on Warzone updates instead of multiplayer ones. That was the main issue with Vanguard and why it continued to go downhill with each update. If Warzone was completely separate, we would be getting better updates and have players who just exclusively actually wanted to play the game. I also think this could be great for Warzone if they kept camo challenges and rewards for using different weapons. It would help by making the community not only use meta weapons every single game and bring variety to lobbies instead of people just being sweats. But removing strict skill-based matchmaking would also do that. Also, would love to see old fan favorite weapons come into Warzone. Next hot take is from Humbug saying sniping requires almost zero skill in a game where you get a one-shot kill to the body. Before anyone says, yeah, but you have to be good at aiming to snipe. That's true for everything. If I can't aim an SMG, I won't hit the guy. I say this as someone who usually goes with a shotgun or melee, both one-shot options also. My argument, I have to get close to attempt a kill. I cannot sit 500 miles away sniping away at a point for an easy game. I see what you're saying, but I only half agree. I'll start by saying my favorite sniping in COD was Black Ops 1 because it required more skill with the snipers being less easy to use. In games like Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2, the sniping was ridiculously easy, and even had the developers get threats for nerfing the DSR, which is really messed up. It's not that serious, guys. But Call of Duty in general is not a huge skill gap game. It has really fast time to kills, not that much recoil, and a lot of the fights are closer range. It wouldn't make sense to have the snipers be really difficult to use because then they would be awful in a game like Call of Duty. And there's still a skill gap. Having bad aim with a sniper versus bad aim with an SMG is not close to the same thing. Just for a simple example, a gun with a 600 round permanent fire rate would add 1/10 of a second to kill for each shot you missed, whereas a fire rate of 60 rounds per minute would add 1 second to kill to each shot you missed, meaning the penalty is 10 times worse when missing a sniper shot. And I just have to say, this is an unbelievable take coming from a shotgun user. And your comment about sitting 500 miles away is just saying you hate campers, which is something everyone agrees with. So that part's not a hot take. The next unpopular opinion is from a simple writer. The concept of open combat missions are cool. Some people may think I'm crazy, but without a doubt, I agree with you. The problem with MW3's campaign was not the open combat missions, it was how they made the open combat missions. It felt like they ran out of time making the campaign and needed filler content to make it longer and just threw these in. They added nothing to the story and they added zero fun gameplay. If they actually spent time on them and added characters from the campaign to go on the missions with you, added Easter eggs, and added variations of endings based on how you did the open combat missions, they would be incredible. And the ninth unpopular opinion is Jonathan saying COD World War II and Black Ops 4 were good and actually fun games. I think Jonathan's statement is a little bit broad, but I agree that both of these Call of Duties got way too much hate. COD World War II of course started off poorly with its multiplayer, but it got fixed when they switched out the leads of Sledgehammer and rehauled it. But I want to focus on Black Ops 4 here, because I've already talked about COD World War II a bit. And do I think Black Ops 4 was an all-time great COD? No, but it was still fun. The zombies wasn't perfect, but it had some really cool maps and Easter eggs, with 9 and Dead of Night for examples. Then the multiplayer tried some new things with having to stim to regain health. It wasn't terrible, but I do like auto regeneration better, and I wish it didn't have the specialists because it didn't feel like they fit into the game. They were much better in Black Ops 3. And Blackout was really fun, but doesn't get enough credit because they kept it behind a paywall. One of the worst decisions ever by Call of Duty. I think World War II and Black Ops 4 are borderline top 10 CODs, and were fun. So if that's what Jonathan was saying, I agree. Up next is Trevor Joseph again. I didn't realize until now that I'm reacting to 2 of his comments. I guess he made some interesting points. The community has to realize there are things that the latest games have done better than earlier entries. The reason some Call of Duty players don't like the newer mechanics or games is purely because of nostalgia. I 100% agree that newer CODs do some things better than old games, but saying people don't like the newer games purely because of nostalgia is just untrue for the most part. I'm sure there's a few people that are like that, but the majority of the players have good reasons for disliking some of the newer games. I believe you're mainly referring to multiplayer, so that's what I'm going to be looking at. Going back to the old games, the movement is so slow, and the stamina of characters is so bad. And I definitely prefer the new movement, but old ones are still better for a number of reasons. For one, look at MW 2019 maps compared to Black Ops 1 maps. Mostly bad compared to mostly good. But one of the main issues people have, including me, is the strict skill-based matchmaking. It turned a casual arcade shooter into a sweat-filled mess of people only caring about meta weapons. What's the point of ranked play if public matches are the same? It turns every lobby into the same mess. The developers want an algorithmic experience to try and keep everyone at about a 1 KD. And it would be really hard for them to lower the skill-based matchmaking now because awful players now think that they aren't bad because they've only played against other awful players. If you turn it off, they're going to be pissed off and quit and won't care about becoming a good player. I had a 0.5 KD over my first 6,000 lives in Black Ops 1, meaning I was 3,000 in 6,000. But I still had fun and was just hanging out with my friends. I wanted to get better and finish that game with a 1.5 KD. It was really 1.47, but I'm rounding up. Don't tell anyone. And I eventually became a 2 KD plus player. And that was without skill-based matchmaking protecting me. I just wanted to become the player that got kill streaks, but now people just want participation trophies and not to feel bad. All in all, I agree new games do some things better, but I disagree that people don't like the newer games purely because of nostalgia. Number 11 is from Crying, hopefully I said that right. Call of Duty Ghosts is the only old video game in the saga that deserves a current sequel. I agree that COD Ghosts deserves a sequel for the campaign alone because that cliffhanger ending showed that they had a Ghost 2 plan. But the negative reception it got from being the game after Black Ops 2 got it thrown out. Then Ghost multiplayer had the best hit detection ever, but the maps were so bad at launch that it made multiplayer not good. I would love a sequel where they just fix the flow of the game with better maps and slightly slower time to kill, but I disagree that it's the only old game that deserves a sequel. Maybe this is a hot take by me, but I would enjoy seeing an Infinite Warfare 2. The main reason is for the zombies. It was a breath of fresh air with a lighter tone, with really cool locations and a different story. So all in all, I agree wanting a Ghost 2, but it's not the only game to deserve a sequel. We are all the way to the 12th unpopular opinion from John Smith. MW 2007, aka COD 4, doesn't stand the test of time. It has a lack of content and isn't much fun to go back to. John, what are we gonna do with you? I can't tell you how much I disagree with this take. We can look back at MW Remastered in 2016 to see how much people still loved it. Of course, they added some weapons into the game, modes, and other stuff, but the player base still loved the core gameplay. I think one of the problems with newer Call of Duties can be too much content, aka overcomplicating the game. Simplicity was one of the beautiful things about the early CODs. And while I can agree I wouldn't mind if COD 4 had just a little bit more content, it had enough, and it is still a good game today. Number 13 is from some guy. I guess we don't know who it is. Supply drops are better than the store. Yes and no. Supply drops are certainly more fun than the store, but if we're looking at supply drops from games like Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, we're straight pay-to-win crap. With the store, there isn't anything unfair if people decide to buy them, but for someone like me who has never bought a single supply drop or item from the store, I don't care that much about this. I think the store is dumb and I would never spend $24 for a skin, a few blueprints of guns and attachments I already have, and a calling card. But many people enjoy that stuff and it makes Activision a bunch of money. So microtransactions are definitely never leaving, and it doesn't hurt anyone to have them in the game. What I would prefer is supply drops that only have cosmetics in them so there's no pay to win and everyone can unlock different things. It would be really fun, but I think they would make less money, so it won't happen. The second to last one is from Brickman UK, and he says, COD fans just want to be fed the same game every year. They say they want their games to be different, but you know they'd be kicking and screaming if they don't have Nuketown on Black Ops 6. The same map we've been getting since 2011. I also see them as always asking for map remasters when we should be getting new and good maps. Let's unpack this a bit. To start off with, I do think many people want the games to be very similar year to year. After all, it is the same franchise. If GTA 6 wasn't anything like GTA 5, I think people would be mad. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm 100% sick of Shipment being in so many CODs. It's not even a great map. It's just fast, and good for getting camos. With Nuketown, I might be slightly sick of it, but at least the map has a great design, and it actually allows for people to play differently from match to match. Lastly, I don't see a problem with having a couple maps remastered each year for a different game, but there is a problem with making remastered maps 50% or more of the maps in the game. The developers should bring back different maps each year instead of the same ones over and over again, so I partially agree with you. The final hot take before mine is from Daddy Laddie, who says, I respect BO3's campaign because it is the only co-op campaign and it tried something new by making the story more complicated. All I have to say is, train go boom. And my hot take is, I'm just kidding. Let me talk about this a little bit more first. I love that BO3 gave us the ability to do the campaign co-op, and I think every COD should allow us to do that. And making a campaign more complicated isn't an issue when it's done well. We can look at Black Ops 1, where they make us question our own characters' memories. We didn't know if we were good or bad. But by the end of the game, we understood the story and what happened while having great characters. Black Ops 3, however, never made complete sense until we researched it outside of the game, and the characters overall weren't very memorable. So I disagree that it tried something totally new. They just failed to make it as good as it should have been. Are you guys ready for my hot take? Warzone saved Call of Duty. A lot of the community thinks it's killing COD, but watch this video here to see why Warzone brought Call of Duty back. I know you'll enjoy it. Peace.